Hi everyone, welcome to Morning Matcha. Today I'm here with celebrity nutritionist and New York Times bestselling author Kimberly Snyder. Hi.
How are you? It's amazing to be here with you.
Yeah, it's so wonderful to be here with you, and I'm so excited to just chat with you more about your new book and everything that's going on.
Comfy couch time.
Yes. And before we get started, I have something to tell you.
Tell me.
I was like, I want to tell her right when I see her, but I'm going to wait because it's so nice to get stuff like this on the show.
Yeah.
But so funny. So a few years ago, I went to Glow Bio to one of your little intimate gatherings.
Did you?
Yeah, it was, I don't know how many you had, but it was one of your first, I think.
Oh my gosh.
And I literally had a fangirl moment and started bawling. I was in tears because I was like, oh my gosh, she means so much to me.
Oh my God.
And
That's
your work has
amazing.
totally moved me and was just part of my journey,
Wow.
you know? And
well, it's such
really,
an honor. I'm so glad we can connect and really have time together.
It's full circle being here.
Wow.
And also with your new book, I think it's just the topic is so perfectly imperfect, even though that's cheesy to say because obviously it's the name of the book, but it really is.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I'm really excited to get started and learn more about your journey. We dived in a little bit. But
I'm so glad we met there.
Yeah.
Now, Glow Bio is closed,
Yeah.
but we have the new juice bar at the Four Seasons.
I know,
so you can come
heard.
visit me there.
Is it called the same thing?
It's called the Solluna juice bar.
Yeah,
and it's
so
right
your
in the
new
lobby.
line, right?
Yes,
your new,
yes,
okay.
the whole lifestyle brand.
So awesome.
So come visit me.
Yeah, I definitely
We'll
will.
have more juice and smoothies, of course, the GGS together.
Oh, I'm so excited. Yeah. So when I first found out about you, it was you've been in this industry for how long?
Well, the first book was out in 2011.
Yeah.
So, which I feel is a long time for a lot of people
really
just starting the wellness journey. What year is it now? So this
2019. So 8 years, really.
Yeah, this is the fifth book in 8 years.
So amazing.
But this one is very different. We'll get into this one. Feels the most from my heart. The most. It's a very deep offering, I think. So I'm really excited for you to get into it yourself.
Yeah, just looking through it, it just feels so perfect for this moment. And yeah, I think when I first found out about your work and I loved it so much and I still do, it resonates with me. I mean, I take magnesium all the time, probiotics.
Wonderful.
You're at the forefront of all that, but also just learning. There's so much information in your book and it was so easy to digest.
Yes. Oh, good.
The first one.
Yes.
What was it called?
Which one?
The first one.
The Beauty Detox Solution.
Beauty Detox Solution. I loved it so much. I would stay up. I just graduated college and I would stay up and read it. And through my journey, I feel I learned so much and I was information overload. And now I feel I can use the bits and pieces that I know, but tailor it to my lifestyle. So this is just amazing that you're now
Thank you. I mean, the journey keeps going deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
I would say the biggest difference between my philosophy and what we commonly hear about is it's really about energy.
Yeah.
So in the first book, I'm talking about beauty energy and this idea that digestion is a really important energy that takes up most of our energy. It's not running around as a mom, even though you're a new mom, I'm a new mom. It's not working out. Digestion is a huge energy suck, if you will. It just takes a ton of our energy. So it's a new approach of looking at food, not just calories, not just how many grams of protein, how many grams of sugar we're eating, but really how is it affecting our bodies? How is it affecting our skin on a deeper level? How is it affecting how we feel? So it's gone deeper and deeper throughout the books. Beauty Detox Power was really about chakras and food cravings and the mental. And then my last book with Deepak Chopra went into the spiritual side and sleep as well. This book is really about healing body shame. It's about really boosting our connecting with our true worth. So we're perfect and we're imperfect at the same time, which is the funny duality of this. And I have found in my work, I've been through so much in the last 18 months, losing my mom within 3 days of becoming, Bubby was turning 1. She was passing away.
Was that sudden?
It was very sudden. We found out she had cancer on Valentine's Day.
Oh, what
and
kind?
then she, liver.
Oh.
And which originated in her colon. And then she passed on March 29th. And so within 3 days of Bubby's birthday. So what it did, it really cut through all my work with clients, all my work with, readers, with myself. I just started to realize it really clarified my mission, which is really about, we can do all this stuff on the surface, but what really counts is how we feel.
Yeah.
And feeling good, ironically, leads to looking good in a much deeper way. When we have magnetic energy and our skin is glowing from the inside out and we have more confidence and our hair builds better, everything is energy, right? It goes back, but in a deeper way now. So there's actually amazing research in this book in different parts about bloating, for instance, and inflammation. Yes, we work to correct our diet. Yes, we must take our SBO probiotics, but there's research showing that even the thoughts that we're thinking, we hear about the gut-brain axis, but it also works the other way, from the brain down to the gut. And if we're not letting go, if we're recycling all these feelings and emotions, it's this holding on energy, which can actually translate to holding on to food, leads to bloating, it leads to inflammation. So everything is very holistic. The way that we can work on processing our feelings and emotions has an effect on how our body feels and how our body looks. And then the second part of this book is really, there's 100 healing food recipes that go a little bit deeper and hold the space in our body when we're processing these, emotional, spiritual, mental clearings. So everything works together so we feel really good.
Yeah.
And that in turn, again, helps us look good, but we can create this level of peace in our perfectly imperfect lives.
I love that, because I think a lot of times, especially now, everyone's getting into the wellness industry and it's so great. And not just in business, but I mean in their personal life, like working on themselves, working out. But it's almost this obsession with perfection. And that causes so much anxiety.
So I'm a recovering perfectionist myself. I talk about that a lot in the book. I've been so hard on myself, as many of us are, especially women. I've had eating disorders. I was, I would say, bulimorexic in high school. It wasn't really diagnosed. I mean, the bulimia part, but I was so obsessed with being thin. Everything was on the surface. I was obsessed with my grades. I was obsessed with all these aspects of how it was on the outside. So this book, like I said, when my mom passed, it was like this sword that cut right into my heart. And I feel like in the healing process, I've been in touch with my value for the first time. All of our value, we are perfect already. Yeah. We are enough. The perfection comes just because you exist, just because you're alive. You're a drop of consciousness, a drop of light, whatever terminology you want to use, you're here. There's perfection there. And at the same time, there's imperfect parts. We all have it. We all go through stuff with our skin, our weight, our bloating, our belly, struggling with juggling everything as a mom. Maybe we want a better job. There's all this stuff to work on. But when we are in touch with that value and that perfection, we don't take it as seriously. So it's not so dire. There isn't this anxiety buildup, which does lead to bloating and inflammation. We can understand, and that first part of the book I talk about is this concept of and. We can be perfect and imperfect at the same time. And how do we hold on to that space of knowing our true value at the same time we're working to improve? But again, it doesn't have to be this dire obsession.
And how do you recommend people just even get started in square one or step one? Because I think a lot of times, for me, it started with food.
Yes.
To open me up. And then I just went through it and then was a perfectionist about it. But then I let go, and I'm an extremist, like we've been talking about. Yes. So for me, it was going through all the different polarities and then finding my path. But I'm just so curious how you guide people.
I think that food is a really important pathway in, because it's physical. It's in the here and now. It's for a lot of us, for me, myself, that's where the healing journey started, with food. But it's only one level, right? So that's why this book, I feel like, is the most powerful. When we just start to read something, when you read a quote and it's sort of oh yeah, I get it. But then you don't know what to do with it. Yeah. So in this book, Recipes for Your Perfectly Imperfect Life, there's tools and techniques. There's the stumbling block technique. There's the letting go technique, which has changed everything for me, where you feel into the feelings. It's like detoxing feelings versus suppressing them, where they get lodged in your belly. They lead to bloating. So it's how do you feel without overthinking? Because you can think and think and think. You can create a million thoughts from one feeling versus letting it come out. So I think it's important to sit, meditation, using some of these techniques, and every technique is paired with foods that support that healing. So ginger, for instance, warms the body. It gets you out of the surface and it kind of brings you into your belly. It expands. It supports metabolism. It supports digestion. It supports circulation. One of the most important things when we're getting past perfectionism is how do we get out of our head and back into our body. I wasn't in my body for years and I didn't really realize this. I was overthinking. Did I eat too much? How many calories am I meant to eat? What do I look like in the mirror? But when we actually feel our body, and again, there's a lot of tools and strategies for feeling our body, feeling our diaphragm when it expands, grounding, feeling our feet, actually feeling our body can really help break that cycle of body shame, breaks the cycle of perfectionism. And again, paired with the right foods, it's a very powerful pathway in.
Yeah, that's amazing. And do you still work with people one-on-one?
I do. I took a break when I keep calling him Bubby.
Yeah.
The nickname for my son. I took I used to travel a lot with clients. I used to be working on a film for 4 months at a time.
Wow.
I used to be doing press tours. I'd be on a private jet and we'd be in a different country every day. So I'm not doing that anymore. But what I am doing is still, I came back to it, creating plans for clients, working with them one-on-one. And I do some food. I used to, take care of them always, but now I train chefs, I train people, and then they get their juices and smoothies from my juice shop at the Four Seasons.
That's awesome. Which Four Seasons?
So it's a compromise. Four Seasons Los Angeles. It's the one on Doheny.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, in Beverly Hills.
Oh my gosh. So how has being a mom shifted? I mean, you talk about losing your mom.
Yeah.
And then also being a mom around the same time. So I'm curious what things you implemented to like ground and feel your body and also grieve and allow yourself the grieving process while having a child to take care of.
It was so much, like you said, like all these female, feminine, like the divine feminine, all these big things were coming up. Losing my mom, which I think is a really big thing because our mothers are pathway into the world.
Yeah.
So it's very different, at least for me, than losing other family members per se. And then also being a new mom and having to be strong for my dad. And they were married for 40 years. And being a new mom, I think it also brought up a lot of challenges for me in healing and perfectionism because I am working full time and I work from home and we talked about flexibility.
Yeah.
And it's, I'm very, very grateful for that opportunity to be with him, but also work. But it's softened me a lot. I think being a mom, we can't do everything the same way. And so I find that doing our best is all we can do. So it's not going to be as perfect anymore. I don't get to every email. I don't get to my to-do list. I don't make, that's the other thing. I don't make these complicated recipes that I used to make. So the recipes in this book, I think, are the most accessible. There's a lot of one-pot cooking. There's a lot of like key ingredients, but you toss things together.
That's so nice.
I understand time now in a very different way.
Yeah.
I understand sleep now in a very different way. So I think I've become a lot more practical. It doesn't have to look so perfect. You see on my Instagram stories, the food I make, it's not always like so like beautiful and perfectly put together. But guess what? It's still filling. It's delicious. It's beautifying. It's nutrient dense.
Yeah.
And that is, that's what I really focus on now and how I'm eating and how I'm feeding people.
That's so nice. I went to Matthew Kenny Culinary back in 2012
Did you?
for raw food. Yeah. And it's like, I don't make any of those recipes. I mean, they were good, but it's just so time consuming. It would take like 3 days to make one dish because from like start to finish, you're like dehydrating it and then soaking the other part. And then it's just crazy. And it's so great, but yeah, it's just not something you would do every day, especially being a mom or being someone who works full-time office job or whatever it is. You have one hand basically and now, right?
I buy like sprouted quinoa, sprouted lentils. My kitchen used to look like a lab with everything sprouting and soaking, and I don't honestly do any of that anymore. I mean, I'm doing my best. That's why I love smoothies. I love soup. I love stew. I think one pot cooking is a godsend.
Yeah.
I have a garden, so I use a lot of herbs. I throw things in. I think spices and herbs. I don't think things have to be complicated. I think that simple cooking techniques can be actually the most nourishing because we simplify, so there's less for our bodies to digest at once. So being a mom has just, you don't know how much you could love something before you become a mom. You don't know how much your heart can just open and burst. So it was like opening as I was grieving and my mom left. I mean, it was just like this really raw time. And again, I wrote this book in the wake where there was no surface of ego. I think, I look at some of my last books and, it's where I was and I love them. You can see my journey. I was wearing this like white dress, like really tight white dress. And like, look at me, and I'm a celebrity nutritionist. And you look at the cover here and you can see I'm like slouched and like just sort of really relaxed. And I just think of, beauty keeps evolving for me, this concept of health and beauty. And I think so much of it is being peaceful and being happy.
Yeah.
I think you can't manufacture that energy. But ironically, when you have that level of peace, when you don't have this anxiety, your body doesn't hold on to weight as much. You don't have as much inflammation in your body. You look better.
I feel like that right now
It
too.
becomes easier over time.
Yeah. I don't know if it's because of what I went through, like going through being strict and then not, and like finding my center, or if it's just, I don't know. You just, when you find that happiness, like you really just glow from inside, or when you finally like yourself for who you are, love yourself for who you are. And so I'm curious, everyone going into the, one thing that we talk about at the Fullest a lot is just how sometimes the wellness industry, it's like really a bunch of people who are just unwell because of all the...
Oh my God, I know.
And so I really feel this is at the forefront of the movement, because now that everyone's getting into it, it's like information you really want to share with people before they become obsessed with the perfection.
And it goes back to what I was saying, feel good.
Yeah.
And that's the tagline of Solluna, my lifestyle brand. It's feel good, which doesn't mean, I'm happy all the time. But what it means is when we feel, we're more in tune with our intuition. Nobody knows our bodies better than us. It means we're more in tune with when we're actually hungry. What serves us in that moment? Is it having a nice, hot, nourishing soup? Or, when I was a raw foodist, it was like, oh, no, follow the rules. It has to be all raw. So it's like, to me, feeling good really puts us in a deeper space. We move past the anxiety, the labels, the boxes we put ourselves in, which is so much of what perfectionism is, that keeps us, I think, from feeling our best, honestly, and from being our best life. So to me, wellness is not about the surface. It's not how many spin classes did I do this week and how much do I weigh now? And, I have 0 sugar. People come to me all the time and like they want me to be like, oh, great job. When they're like, I cut out all carbs and all sugar. And I was like, well, how do you feel? When I start digging in, it's like, I'm actually like starving and miserable. And I just think that's not the goal.
And I can't hang out with anyone because no one wants to
go out to dinner, and I can't have a glass of wine anymore, and I can't do anything. And I just think that's not how life is meant to be.
Yeah.
There is a way. For me, I know I say this, I've suffered so much. I've tried every diet. I've had eating disorders. I've been recovering perfectionist. I've beat up my body so much. And I can honestly say, from leading so many, thousands of women now, clients, people, there is an easier way. And I'm not just saying this.
No,
but it's true. And you've experienced it too. When we let go a little bit, we think about energy. We think a little bit more strategically about digestion and working with our body, working with our natural systems, thinking about food in a more holistic way. Food combining, having very fiber-rich plant foods in particular, having all these, we don't have to do the math. We don't have to, worry about this, I'm taking the curcumin. Just, use the turmeric in your cooking and have smoothies, and you're doubling your fiber intake, and it's cleansing your system, and you're cleaning your blood, and you're cleaning out toxins. I mean, all this stuff starts to happen naturally when we simplify. And again, we just feel full from the fiber. We don't have to be starving. We don't have to eat tiny amounts. We don't have to eat food according to a chart. And you relax. And when you relax, your body relaxes.
Yeah.
And when your body relaxes, this is my experience in so many people, you lose weight more naturally.
Yeah.
You don't have to hold on. Your skin looks better. You look younger. There is an easier way.
It's so beautiful. I love it. I'm so happy you're sharing this with people.
I want to stand on every rooftop and shout this, because I know what it's like to be like, oh my God, I'm at the end of my caloric intake for the day and I'm starving. Or this is what I'm meant to eat. This is tiny.
Yeah.
You should see when I sit down and eat, I eat huge piles of food, but it's food that's easily digestible. It's, sprouted lentils or quinoa, tons of kale, carrot, like all this stuff in soup. And by the way, I don't worry, I've done all these in-depth blogs, podcasts, research about the different macronutrients. And I totally respect all the different diets out there.
Yeah.
But I also believe that we are meant to eat whole fruits and vegetables. I'm not an advocate for being scared of,
True.
bananas
Yeah.
and
Oh my
carrots
gosh, I
because
know.
of the sugar. I think we're meant, this is an Ayurvedic concept as well, which is something I've studied for 5 years. I have a lot of respect for Ayurvedic medicine, where they talk about we need all the tastes, and sweet is one of them. In our brain, Madhura is the Sanskrit word. We need to have some sweet in our life.
Yeah.
So to me, I eat bananas and carrots every day. People are like, oh my God, like, should I not be eating apples anymore? Should I not be eating?
I went through that. I was like afraid of everything. So terrible.
Yes. And I just, my approach is we need healthy fat.
Mm-hmm.
We need some protein. We definitely don't need to overeat protein. That's well established now.
Mm-hmm.
But we do need carbs, and we do need natural sugars, not refined sugars, not all the flours and all that.
Yeah.
But fruits that come from a tree. Please tell me like how it's okay for someone to eat a packaged bar where you can't pronounce 20 of the ingredients and they're scared of eating a banana.
Yeah.
Like that just doesn't, I think we
know.
need to go back to Mother Nature. You and I were talking about grounding.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing.
Yeah.
I used to have a very, I would say a pretty strenuous yoga practice, like every day. And
What kind?
it was vinyasa, it
Yeah.
was flow. And I felt like if I didn't do yoga every day, oh, my body's gonna go to the pits. Like,
oh
what's
my
gonna
God.
happen?
I used to work out every day too, and being a mom, I just can't. And
I mean, now it's
just
like you pick and choose. And
Yeah.
after my mom passed, I felt like I needed to reconnect. So I actually started doing these beach walks.
Wow.
So
yeah.
that's what I still do now. I do these morning beach walks, and I like to tune out, or sometimes time wise, it's before my son gets up. I also have conference calls sometimes. But
Yeah, grounding with the sand.
There's something about, or even in the daily meditation practice, if you don't have access to being outside, just feeling like from the bottom of your spine or the bottom of your feet that you're going down into the earth. We're in the body. We're meant to be here. And I think just having a few moments of really focusing on connecting with the earth every day is super important.
Mm-hmm.
As I mentioned, I was in my head so much. I think part of my perfectionism too was like, look at me, I'm the smart one. I'm the intellectual. I can spout off any study.
Mm-hmm.
So I was up here a lot, overthinking, analyzing my body. And there's something very powerful about getting back into our body.
Yeah.
So grounding is a very important practice. Breath work, which I
Mm-hmm.
talk about some in here. Just making sure we're expanding horizontally with your diaphragm, taking deep breaths whenever we remember. Anything, like even Abhyanga, some self-massage.
I love Abhyanga.
Anything that makes us feel in our bodies. We're
Mm-hmm.
meant to be here. And I didn't really get this for a long time. Really reconnect with your body.
Yeah, even baths with the salt, just because
Essential
that, yeah,
oils.
so amazing.
So many people say to me, I don't know when I'm hungry. I don't know what I'm supposed to eat. And how do we know when we're up here all the time?
Yeah.
So it's like very important to come into the body and connect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just taking a moment
Yes.
is, I mean, it's crazy. It's as simple as that. But when you're so nervous about, oh my gosh, I ate that and I made a big mistake and now I feel bad and I'm going to be bloated. And it's just all this, it's just a mess because it's all up here.
It's all up here. It's all in the overthinking,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like we were talking about where the anxiety comes from. So I would say a powerful practice is also asking the question, what do you need, body, right now? Like it sounds
Yeah.
funny to say, but actually like tuning in with yourself. What do I really need?
Mm-hmm.
And sitting with it. And it's amazing what may come up. Like you may just get that inkling. Over time, it gets easier. Like I need something really warm. Maybe you need an elixir. I'm big on elixirs. There's a whole section in this book about elixirs and smoothies and drinks. I think that's a really amazing self-care practice. I make hemp milk elixirs all the time with
So
cloves,
good.
cinnamon,
Oh my
turmeric. I
gosh.
make golden milk all the time. I
So
think it's
good.
really important that we have self-care drinks and foods around because we talked about the pathway in for a lot of us is food, and if we're putting something in our body that we know is really good for us, that's expanding, that's putting us in touch with our body, that may be the start. Sometimes we can't just be like, oh, I'm going to meditate in the middle of the day, I'm a busy mom, but we can have that elixir and start to tune back in and feel that warm heat and that fiber, whatever it is in our body. And sometimes that's the mode that can snap us out of anxiety.
Just a moment. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
I also think it's really important to have a evening routine. So since becoming a mom, like I don't, your son is
Baby
younger.
massage, all that.
Oh my God,
yeah.
they have a whole routine,
Yeah.
right? And I think as adults, we have given up that concept of a routine, but we need it so much.
Yeah.
So whether it's elixir is nightly for me and it switches every night. Sometimes it's just like a Tulsi tea, which is holy basil, which is a plant which helps with adrenal exhaustion. It helps with stress. It's an adaptogen, so it helps our body deal in different. It's really nice to have at the end of the day.
And Ayurvedic or just used in Ayurveda?
Well, it's used in Ayurveda, but
Yeah.
it's becoming more popular. This whole Tulsi
Trend.
plant.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
get it as a tea form. So it's Tulsi tea, golden milk, whatever the elixir is, and then giving myself a little bit of massage, warm shower. Not right before bed, about at least half an hour before bed, so your body has time to cool down. Meditation, book reading.
So nice
But I
to
would
wind
say
down.
like a great self-care routine is just give yourself even if it's 10 minutes or half an hour, let yourself come down at the end of the day to reconnect.
I love that. So tell me a little more about Solluna.
Yes. So Solluna means the sun and the moon.
Oh,
So it means the light and the dark, right? So
yeah.
So this goes back to the concept of perfectly imperfect. I'm so happy you brought this up. Feel good isn't like, oh, I'm up all the time. Again, feeling good means you're in tune with yourself. So the sun and the moon means all aspects, right? It's like the dark parts, it's the light parts, the aspect of shadow work, looking at ourselves, accepting ourselves, accepting our imperfections. So I that name came out again after my mom passed, and I was in this very deep healing space. I think we regain we sit in our full power when we sit in our wholeness. And that goes back to being like, here I am, perfectly imperfect, and I'm enough, and I'm okay, and I'm amazing as I am. So Solluna is a whole lifestyle brand. We have supplements, we have non-toxic high-performance skincare, we have information courses, sleep courses, weight loss courses, but we also have something called the Feel Good Circle, which actually you might be really interested in.
Yeah.
And it's like $5 a month to join, but it's a community, it's a tribe where we talk about mental, emotional, spiritual healing, grief, perfectionism.
Wow.
There's a video, there's audios, there's weekly meditations, there's weekly journal entries, a very active private Facebook community. So we want to give people resources
and
for
support,
any pathway. Yes, for every part of their healing journey.
Yeah, that's so nice.
Because I don't think it's healthy. You're talking about the wellness where it's just the surface, how we look. This concept of the moon part, the phase part, it's not something we should be scared of.
Yeah.
Because we can really look at ourselves and say, oh, why do I try to control this in my life? Or why am I so invested in my worth being in how I look? When we start to explore that, I call it an energy bomb. There's this part of us that's tied up in that, and a lot of energy gets wound up. And when we look at it, it releases all this energy because it's being integrated back into our wholeness. So what I find in this work, which I've done with myself and clients, and now all these people in the Feel Good Circle, our amazing community members, is we're taking back ownership of our real power.
I love that.
And with that power comes tremendous peace, tremendous joy.
And growth.
Then you can give it to other people. And we're just helping each other. We're supporting each other in this deep level of joy and peace. To me, that's what wellness is. That's the goal. Feeling good.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, excuse me for saying this, but it's BS to just be like, oh, I have the most perfect hair now. Great. But are you still miserable? Are you sitting there with insomnia every night? Are you sitting there on Instagram comparing yourself and feeling like crap because, oh, look at her body, or she's better, or she has more followers? When we can be so in tune with ourselves, that stuff's there, but we don't need to take it so seriously.
Yeah.
Our real worth can't be taken away. It's already there. It's just about us tuning into it.
It's so nice to have that community because that's like the fullest. Our whole thing is redefining wellness as not just the food you eat, not just the way you move, but every aspect of your life. But we don't do any support circles or anything. So it's really nice that you offer that.
No, I love, thank you.
It's so important to just share and be there for people going through whatever it is that they're going through in their life, and knowing that just tuning in is wellness. Just taking a moment that's your wellness. That's it's so important.
I think one of the most powerful things we can do is share our stories and be there for each other on our journeys. So this book has it's not just me telling stories about my life, but it's very illustrative, personal anecdotes, and then the tips and tools that come out of that. Because I've never really shared about my story in different aspects. I mean, I tell this story, for instance, where I was fighting with my boyfriend at the time. And there's this image of like, people, Kimberly Snyder, you eat perfectly on the stuff. So I was fighting with him in public. We were in Rome.
Oh my gosh.
And this reader comes up to me. She's like, oh, Kimberly, I have all your books on my nightstand. And you know what I said? I was so embarrassed. I said, oh, that's not me. And I like kind of ran away.
Oh my gosh, because you were embarrassed.
I was embarrassed.
Oh my gosh.
And this is so all this drama, all this stuff. I had to run back to her. I was like, I lied.
You said it?
Oh my God, I said it. It was
I
this
love
horrible
it.
that I felt it. Like, oh my God, you just pretended you weren't yourself. So I had to run up to this lady and I was like, and I was very honest. I was like, look, I was embarrassed. I was fighting. But I could see the ego and I want to like look this perfect way, this author that is like, has this like whatever. So I said, I was fighting. I'm so sorry. I lied. I lied to you. I am Kimberly.
So
and
awesome.
She's like, I'm so glad you said this. She's like, because I knew it was you. I was like, okay. I was like, all this drama, all this weirdness, I created it myself. And but that's what we do every day. When we get in our head, we're so like trying to project this certain image. I think if we relax and we're like, this is my story.
Totally.
Hey, I'm not perfect. I'm flawed. But guess what? Everybody else is too. Then we can actually support each other and support each other in messy and perfectly imperfect journeys, perfectly imperfect moms, perfectly imperfect people, perfectly imperfect bodies.
Wow, you said that so well.
But everything, it's like, I cracked literally about 18 months ago and my mom passed away. And when you crack, you can see through this facade. So I'm writing this from a place where now I feel so much stronger about the mission because I've cracked in a way that I can see it. Yeah. And I could never see it before. Yeah. Even with all the stuff I was writing about, I don't think I was really
there. Like
I wasn't
feeling
there.
It. Yeah.
I wasn't understanding the value. So now when I look at you, when I look at anybody, I'm like, oh my gosh, this amazing value. Don't fixate on all this stuff. Yeah. We're going to improve that. That's going to be fine. We're on the journey, but it's there.
Yeah. Oh, that's
And I want
so
everybody
beautiful.
to see it in themselves because I didn't see it in myself.
Yeah.
It's this journey to get there, but it's all in there.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Thank you so much for coming here and sharing. And it's been just such an honor to talk with you.
It's such an honor to be part of the Fullest. I mean, you guys are doing amazing work. I'm so excited that we can collaborate on this and we can reconnect.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's been really special. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.